You may not have her hair blacker than a raven's wing in a night church, night in a pit full of oil. You may not have her skin whiter than the moon when the squirrels eat the dogs and the world. You can just make up words with Bray Wyatt. You can just make them up. Hello there, I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com and welcome to How WWE Should Book, where I take an angle from now to the future, then challenge WWE to book it better because I'm a smartass. This time around, How WWE Should Book Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail, Bray Wyatt's perpetual gilf, that's a ghost I'd like to who was a very nice sort of voodoo priest church woman who had a very nice rocking chair that The Undertaker destroyed with his force lightning. Wrestling is stupid! She taught Bray everything he knows, apparently. He would say stuff about her in promos. She said, "You've got to get them before they get you. A rattlesnake's skin is the same color as the leaves," she said. "She led us with her love, but she taught us that the fires, well, they were our friends too." She sounds like a hoot at parties. Ever since WWE first mentioned her, fans have wondered, who should play Sister Abigail? They've had their eye on NXT, wondering who's going to be Sister Abigail when they're brought up to the main roster. Is it going to be Billie Kay? Is it going to be Ember Moon? I used to have people asking me on Twitter if they thought that Bayley should debut on the main roster as Sister Abigail, to which I said no. I mean, for starters, she's dead. Bray Wyatt has cut a promo about being there at her final breath. I mean, granted, Kane was supposed to be dead, but okay, let's say for the sake of argument, there has to be an angle in WWE featuring on camera Sister Abigail. Here's how it should be done. WWE, book it better. Okay, for starters, there is no actual Sister Abigail, all right? Now, I know what I just said, but look, we're not going to have a spooky ghost lady appear on SmackDown. We're not having that. We're not going to dress a wrestler up like the soothsayer from Pirates of the Caribbean or have Asuka debut with manky dreads, all right? We're not in the era of Kane anymore. It's not the late 90s. People don't want the hoodoo stuff, okay? They're just going to reject it as silly. So instead, let's make this story about Bray Wyatt. See, Bray's losing right now. He's losing real bad. And he needs a reason for that, because normally he just comes out, spouts some f***ing bull and then loses. So no one pays any attention to what he's actually saying. If he's losing, fine, make that work, make him lose, but have it change who he is. So we start now, where we are, in the lead up to No Mercy. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt are feuding, they're saying riddles to each other like, "I'm a snake. I eat snakes." Alexa Bliss is feuding with Becky Lynch. Alexa Bliss is going to be important to this story. So in the lead up to their match at No Mercy, Bray Wyatt name drops Sister Abigail. He talks about her in a promo about the advice she used to give him on how to deal with snakes back in the bayou, I guess. "I remember Sister Abigail, man. She used to hold me in her arms. She used to tell me, snakes, snakes are just another kind of prey. You need to grab them by the throat. And you need to rip their head off, man." Run! That kind of pointless, it doesn't mean it, it doesn't mean anything. It does nothing, none of this means, just edit that into looking good. Cheers. Don't leave this bit in, Sam. So at No Mercy, Wyatt and Orton get to a tussle-in. Rowan tries to get involved but gets an RKO. Then Wyatt grabs him, goes for a Sister Abigail. That's counted into an RKO. 1, 2, 3. Wyatt loses again. Now, before you build a wooden effigy of me and set it on fire, wait. First of all, where would you get enough wood to build these bothersome they're my burden. Second of all, I get it. Wyatt needs momentum. So we give him a story rather than a win. So after the match, Wyatt is in the middle of the ring and he's on his knees and he's sobbing, madly sobbing. He looks like a crazy man. Rowan then enters the ring and kneels in front of Wyatt. Wyatt stands up and he places a hand on Eric Rowan's head and he says, "Yours is not the love I need." And then Rowan stands up. He Sister Abigail's Rowan, then helps him up and then carries him out. Rowan is in a bad way. He's dazed and confused, and Bray is saying, "Don't worry, man. We'll find her. We'll find her together." So, on the SmackDown following No Mercy, Alexa Bliss shows her brutal side, attacking Becky Lynch backstage and injuring her arm. Bliss demands a rematch, or this will keep happening, and later on in the show, Becky Lynch accepts. So, next week it's announced the rematch, Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss. During that match, Alexa Bliss constantly works the injured arm, which means that when Becky Lynch tries to lock in the disarmer, she hasn't got the strength to lock that hold in. This paints Alexa Bliss as intelligent. We'll need that later. So the finishing sequence for that match is Alexa Bliss going for what used to be called the Sparkle Splash, and I will never call it anything else. She's on the top rope. Becky Lynch pushes her, so she lands on the top rope, and then from behind she gets her with a pump handle superplex thing. Now that is a risky spot, I know, but there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it gives Becky a hell of a thing, which, you know, she needs a little bit because compared to her other four horsewomen, she's a little bit of the blandest. She needs a big spot like that to kind of push her over the top with fans. Also, it renders Alexa Bliss out cold. After the match, medics come down and try and help out Alexa Bliss. Then suddenly, I feel like King Ross doing that. So the lights go out, the lights come back on to find Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he savagely beats up the medics. He throws them all out of the ring, lays everyone out. He goes nuts on them, and then he leans down and he picks up Alexa Bliss and he just carries her to the back. In a vignette later on the show, Alexa Bliss wakes up and she's on a bed in the medical area backstage, and she's like, what happened? And there's a terrified doctor there, and the terrified doctor says, "Tell him you're okay." And Alexa Bliss says, "What do you mean?" He says, "He said what he would do to us if anything happened to you. You just got knocked out. You're going to be fine. Please tell him you're okay." And Alexa's like, "What?" Next week, Bray is in the ring and he's wrestling like a f***ing madman. He is trying to murder Kalisto, and I can think of a couple of people who'd very much like to see that. There's something in his eyes that suggests he is not shuffling a full deck. He's lost it, and he beats on Kalisto so savagely in the corner that he ends up getting disqualified. He doesn't get a win, that's important. But he completely destroys the man, hits him with a Sister Abigail, maybe even two. And then he points to ringside, where there's a rocking chair, an empty rocking chair. He gets on the microphone, he shouts, "Do you see what I can do? I do this for you. Help me. Return to me, my savior. Return to me, Abigail." So at this point, we're sort of working out that Alexa Bliss is Abigail. She's not, but Bray thinks she is. That's the thing. He's lost so many times. He has gone into his dark place in his head, and he's got desperate, and he feels like he needs Sister Abigail to set him on the course. He needs her back in his life. He's become deluded, and he's imbuing someone else with the persona of Sister Abigail. He targets Alexa Bliss. For example, the lights go out in her dressing room, and when they come back on, there's just a rocking chair there, swaying slightly. He believes that Sister Abigail's spirit is reborn in Bliss. She is reborn in you, man. You may not have her hair blacker than a raven's wing in a night church, night in a pit full of oil. You may not have her skin whiter than the moon when the squirrels eat the dogs and the world. You can just make up words with Bray Wyatt. You can just make them up. You may not look like her, but you have her kindness. Now, initially, Bliss rejects Wyatt's advances because why the wouldn't she? He's a mentalist. He approaches her in an interview, asks her to join him. She blows him off. Later on in a match, he wrestles so crazily, like he beats a poor jobber unconscious, just completely destroys him. Again, the match is thrown out. There's no wins here. After the match, he kneels over the prone body of the jobber and he promises to show his devotion to Abigail. So, a number one contenders match for the shot at Becky Lynch's SmackDown Women's Championship at Survivor Series. It's a fatal four-way. Nikki Bella, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, and Carmella. Carmella and Nikki take each other out, probably in a separate storyline that's going forward. Naomi locks on her finishing submission to Alexa, and then the lights go out. The lights come back up, and Naomi is out cold, and there's an empty rocking chair at ringside. Alexa looks at the chair, looks at Naomi, is confused initially, then smiles and covers her. 1, 2, 3, Alexa Bliss is a new number one contender. She has her hand raised, and as she goes to leave, she looks at the rocking chair, she thinks to herself, and then it looks like, yeah, she's agreeing to something. Next week on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt is again destroying a peon when out comes Alexa Bliss, and she looks completely different. She has dyed her hair black as a raven's wing, is that what I said? She's wearing makeup to make her skin pale as porcelain. She's not a cartoon, okay? We don't want her dressed up like, you know, the Japanese schoolgirl thing or like a Tim Burton drawing, nothing like that. Just these big changes. So that there's a huge change in Alexa Bliss. Everyone just notices that. She walks down to ringside and she sits in the rocking chair. And Bray Wyatt, his heart grows 3 sizes that day. He destroys the peon with a sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3, looking directly at her. He kneels in front of her. She gets into the ring, puts her hand on his head, and she says simply, "I have returned to you." She leans down, kisses his forehead. He takes her hand, and then she disappears into the darkness. See, Alexa Bliss is intelligent, remember? Now, what separates this angle from all the other creepy dude stalks a pretty lady backstage angles that WWE have done many, many times is that Alexa Bliss realizes that she has the power here. She manipulates Bray Wyatt, she understands that he's devoted to her, and she decides to use that for her own ends. I believe because I've now created an imaginary storyline where a woman has authority over a man, I believe I'm going to be called a cuck now, but those people can grow up, off, come back, and then off again. Because you see, the thing about Alexa Bliss is she's great. For someone so young, she's really good on the microphone, and she's just got those facial expressions. She is a young Trish Stratus. She will be that good and better in the ring now than Trish Stratus was back then, for sure. She's got a really bright future, but she just needs that thing to kind of break her out. Blake and Murphy was not that thing. This, hopefully, will be. She starts coming to the ring with Rowan and Bray Wyatt. She's leading them. She's the one holding that lamp. And she's manipulating them perfectly. For example, in a match with Naomi, she hits her Sparkle Splash, I'm just gonna keep calling it that, off the shoulders of Eric Rowan onto Naomi. Then after the match, she orders Bray Wyatt to pick Naomi up and deliver a Sister Abigail to her. Now, I know normally I don't like man-on-woman violence, but it's a safe move, it's one move, and it's important for the story, so we can let it slide. Also, the announcers should play up how disgusted they are by this. So Survivor Series is approaching, and in that smoky, dark room that Bray Wyatt lives in, I guess? He's with Alexa in that room, and she commands him to haunt Becky Lynch. "Follow me, my love," she says. "I will make you the god you used to be." So the trio of Rowan, Wyatt, and Bliss, they torment Becky Lynch. They stalk her. For example, while she's having a conversation with a guy backstage, the lights go out, and when the lights come back on, he's thrown through a window or something like that. Or when the lights come back on, he's out cold but with a sheet mask on. The classics. Alexa Bliss sits in her rocking chair at ringside whilst Wyatt racks up wins. He's winning now because he's got that focus. And all the time he's transfixed by Bliss at ringside. Everything he does for her. 2 weeks before Survivor Series, Becky Lynch is wrestling Natalya. Becky Lynch beats Natalya, of course, and then the lights go out. Boom, boom. When they come back up, Eric Rowan, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss are in the ring with Becky. Bliss has the microphone and she orders the Wyatts to destroy Becky. Becky gets in a kick on Eric Rowan, but then Bliss nails her from behind with the microphone. Bray Wyatt picks her up and he's about to Sister Abigail her when suddenly Luke Harper returns. Hooray! Luke Harper's been out for a very long time with an injury. He's back. He has been cleared by doctors. He's ready to go. So let's bring him back. And he rushes to the ring. He stops Bray Wyatt from hurting Becky. And he points at Alexa Bliss and says, "She is not Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail is dead." Wyatt knocks Harper down. Harper gets back up, but refuses to hit Bray back. Bray knocks him down again, just strikes him on the floor over and over again, and hits him with Sister Abigail. And all the while, Bliss, she's on the mic, screaming at Bray Wyatt to destroy Luke Harper. He's turned his back on Sister Abigail, he's turned his back on you, everything you stand for. All while Eric Rowan watches impassively as Wyatt just destroys Luke Harper. Next SmackDown, the go-home SmackDown before Survivor Series, it's Harper and Lynch versus Bray and Bliss. And again, Luke Harper refuses to fight. He can't fight the man that, changed his life in the Bayou, who turned him into a new person. But he won't stand by and watch Lynch get hurt. Earlier on in the SmackDown, they have a promo together, and Lynch simply tells Luke Harper, "You have good in you. Bliss is controlling Bray, but you don't have to be controlled anymore." Also earlier in that SmackDown, a promo between Bliss and Wyatt in their smoky love room. Bliss tells Wyatt to make an example of Luke Harper, and Bray Wyatt demands a match with Luke Harper at Survivor Series. Because, I know WWE royally fucked up the whole breakup of the Wyatts thing, them actually infighting. You could have got proper huge pay-per-view matches out of that, and then just sort of various weird SmackDown matches happened. Really weird. Anyway, I know the hype of watching the Wyatts fight is diminished, but hopefully with Luke Harper coming back after being injured, the momentum is there. So, SmackDown, this tag match, and again, Harper refuses to fight Bray, refuses to hit him. He tags out without hitting punches, and when he's forced into the match because it's intergender, then he just takes the punishment. Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss win as a result of this, and the whole time Rowan just watches without ever taking off his sheep mask. At Survivor Series, again, Becky Lynch and Luke Harper share a promo together. She's like the angel guiding him to the light as compared to Bliss guiding Bray further into darkness. She says, "Look, I know there is good in you, okay? I can't force you to confront that. That is for you to find. I don't want you with me during my match. I want to face Alexa by myself, but good luck." And Luke Harper just sits there in despair. So Bliss versus Becky, both women come out alone. Initially, it's just the two women wrestling. They put on a showcase match, but then, of course, Bray Wyatt comes out, causes the distraction. Alexa Bliss plants Becky Lynch with the Sister Abigail, and she is crowned new SmackDown Women's Champion. So, Bray versus Luke Harper. This time, all the Wyatts are there. Luke and Bray in the ring, Rowan at ringside with his sheep mask on, and Alexa sat in the rocking chair, clutching her new title. She's barking order after order after order at Bray Wyatt. He's following her every word, and he is pummeling Luke Harper. Then out comes Becky Lynch. She grabs the rocking chair, she pulls it backwards. Alexa Bliss tumbles out, they start brawling in the entranceway. Wyatt points at Rowan, do something. Rowan goes over like they are brawling backstage. Eric Rowan runs after them. So everyone else has left until it's just Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper in the ring. And then Bray Wyatt, he's apoplectic with rage. He throws a punch at Harper. Harper catches it, looks at the punch, and looks at Bray Wyatt, almost as if he's looking at Bray Wyatt for the first time. And then he finally hits him. Finally, the two are wrestling each other, and it's a knockdown, drag-out brawl. However, when it comes time to connect with the discus clothesline, again, Luke Harper hesitates just a tiny bit. And then he's planted with the Sister Abigail, and Bray Wyatt wins 1, 2, 3. Bray Wyatt keeps punishing Harper after the match. Out comes Eric Rowan. Bray Wyatt screams at him to help him beat up Luke Harper. Rowan grabs Bray off him and shoves him back. Bray Wyatt slaps Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan does that. And then he punches down Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt gets back up into the discus clothesline from Luke Harper. The two men, Harper and Rowan, leave together. Now that's because I want to cement these guys as a tag team. Both guys are good solo. Harper is great solo, but right now they can make a phenomenal tag team. They are just the best when they're working together. Again, look at matches they've had with like the Usos. As a tag team, as a brawling tag team, they are fantastic. And as a face team, you know, just tearing their way through the SmackDown tag division, they could be unstoppable. So keep Harper and Rowan a tag team for now, and they can keep the gimmick, they can keep the hillbilly thing. They're just faces. They're just beat up heels now. So after Survivor Series, that has cemented that tag team. It has created a champion out of Alexa Bliss, and it's got something interesting going on with Bray Wyatt. Finally, he's got some focus. Finally, he knows what he wants. He's not speaking in riddles anymore. He is simply devoted to Sister Abigail, and everyone can understand that. And after Survivor Series, there is no need to end Bray and Bliss anytime soon. They can stay together. They make each other stronger. He improves her promo game, and she gives his character something. If fans react to it well, have Bliss, as Sister Abigail, convince Bray to go for the title. She wants to be that power couple. It could be like the Gothic McMahon-Helmsley regime. That could be pretty interesting. Also, down the line, it gives way to a Bray face turn, you know, if that's your jam. For example, you know, if Bliss loses the belt, she can attack Bray Wyatt. She can humiliate him in public. I never was Sister Abigail. I was fooling you. I was manipulating you, making you dance to my strings. At which point he then becomes the hero. He can smash up the rocking chair. That can be a symbol of him finally turning face for good. There are lots of possibilities this way, and you don't have that kind of goofy someone actually is an undead church woman gimmick thing. So that is how I would book the debut, I guess, of Sister Abigail. Do you disagree? Would you prefer to see it in a completely different light? If so, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon. Or she says, you don't have to be controlled. No, I'm not going to do that. Don't put that bit in. You don't have to be controlled anymore. You don't have to be controlled anymore. You don't have straight fire. You don't straight fire. You don't have to be controlled anymore.